Hi friends, have you ever been told to drink a glass of warm milk or eat a turkey sandwich to help you fall asleep? Do they actually work? In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 science-backed foods that have shown to actually improve sleep. Now, you may be really surprised at which foods have the strongest evidence and which ones may not work that great. My name is Dr. Lou, and I'm a double-boarded physician practicing for 25 plus years. And I've seen far too many people dependent upon medications that really are ruining their sleep, ruining their memory, making them dependent on them, costing them money, morning grogginess, falls, memory problems, and it may not restore the deep natural sleep that their body needs. It's probably because they didn't realize that the type and amount of natural foods consumed can make a huge impact on their sleep quality. And if you stay until the end, I'm going to show you how to combine these foods into a simple evening routine. I'll also tell you the common nighttime mistakes that people make that can cancel out all their benefits. So let's begin with a glass of warm milk. Does it actually help with sleep, or is it simply an old wives' tale? Now, many of us grew up hearing that warm milk helps you sleep for some reason. And it turns out milk does contain some tryptophan, calcium, and protein, and several nutrients involved in making serotonin and melatonin, hormones that are needed for sleep. But warm milk may also help because it is comforting. Now, it may remind your brain that the day is over. That may be just a habit, and that routine itself can help your body slow down. Some studies have linked dairy intake with healthier sleep patterns. Small studies have also found that milk before bed may improve total sleep time in people with insomnia. But it's not right for everyone. If you're lactose intolerant, if you have reflux, if you are bloated after dairy, drinking milk before bedtime could actually keep you awake all night long. And don't forget, milk can cause cavities. Sweetened milks contain enough sugar to work against you. But milk isn't the only food with the most interesting results. And the one food that, to me, tastes so much better, creamier, and actually cheaper are bananas. Bananas are a popular breakfast food, but consider eating it at night. They contain potassium, magnesium, carbohydrates, and a small amount of tryptophan. Now, these nutrients are involved in muscle function and in the production of brain chemicals that are connected to sleep. So a study found that eating bananas before bed improved sleep quality scores in people with insomnia. Now, it may help most when you're hungry and that you don't want to eat something heavy right before bed, right? You want to eat a small, low-fat snack. I actually like to eat my bananas frozen because they are as creamy as ice cream. But don't overeat it. Food volume is tricky before bedtime. A large meal before bed can actually worsen reflux, raise your body temperature, and make sleep more difficult. Sleep is an active process, even though you think you're not doing anything. Your brain is actually very active, and it doesn't just switch off at night. It needs chemical signals, and one of those signals begins with tryptophan. Your body uses tryptophan to make important hormones like serotonin, and serotonin then can be used to produce melatonin. But melatonin has to cross into the brain. Unfortunately, it has competition with other amino acids that are trying to cross at the same time. However, eating a small amount of healthy carbohydrates with your tryptophan-rich food, it actually may help more than eating a huge piece of meat before bed. The carbohydrate may reduce some of that competition, but tryptophan is only part of the story. Magnesium is also really important because it supports normal nerve and muscle function. Another essential nutrient, omega-3 fats, that can influence inflammation and brain signaling. And another one, named fiber, may help to stabilize blood sugar overnight. And in the fiber are plant compounds called polyphenols that can influence the brain, the immune system, and the gut microbiome. So the best sleep foods, they don't just have one ingredient, right? And by now you probably have been following my videos to know that I'm all about eating whole foods that have many of these nutrients. But you're probably thinking, what about supplements? Have you heard about magnesium? It's abundant in the plant kingdom, and it's also important in sleep. So if you eat pumpkin seeds, beans, lentils, spinach, tofu, almonds, cashew, oats, and whole grains, they all contain magnesium, along with the fiber, polyphenols, and protein. And in one large study, people with higher magnesium intake in whole foods were less likely to sleep fewer than 7 hours. Now, unfortunately, if that's not your diet, if you're not eating whole food, mostly plants, and you want to make sure that you're getting enough magnesium, well, magnesium supplements actually have been shown to shorten the time needed to fall asleep by about 17 minutes. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but for some people, it may just be just enough to get them started. But food gives you more than an isolated nutrient. Pumpkin seeds also contain protein and healthy fat. Beans contain fiber and complex carbohydrates. Your spinach contains folate and antioxidants. Food gives your body a package. A supplement just gives you one concentrated ingredient, and they may be very important, so I don't see anything wrong with supplementing with magnesium unless your doctors advise you not to do that. Concentrated magnesium, though, can cause diarrhea if you're taking the wrong one, and it can be dangerous in people with significant kidney disease. So you have to know your supplements, and you have to clear it with your doctor. You can also think about adding pumpkin seeds to your oatmeal, adding beans for lunch, and spinach and tofu for your dinner. But be careful with dark chocolate, even though it does have magnesium. Dark chocolate can contain a lot of caffeine and theobromine, which can keep some sensitive people awake all night. And I can vouch for that. My son, I think at that time he was like 2.5, and I went to work and he somehow got into a stash of dark chocolate. He pretty much finished the whole box. And he was up all night bouncing around the walls, literally, until he got tired and he fell asleep at like 4 a.m. This was when he was 2 years old. So keep your kids away from dark chocolate. Now, just keep in mind that a food can contain a sleep-supporting nutrient and still disrupt sleep. And by the way, if you find values in my videos, would you mind checking if you're subscribed? And if you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, like button, and share button, because it does change how many people get to watch my videos. I appreciate your partnership in helping to change the world. This next category may be even more important than magnesium, and that's the category I mentioned before, high fiber whole foods, like oats and beans and lentils, vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds, and whole grains. The reason is because high fiber diets, they have been associated with better sleep quality and more slow wave sleep. Now, slow wave sleep is the deep restorative stage when your body performs much of its repair work and cleanup. How would that work? Now, one reason may be blood sugar. A dinner filled with refined carbohydrates and added sugar, that can cause a rapid rise in blood sugar. Then several hours later, there may be a rapid fall. And for some people, that drop may contribute to your hunger, sweating, having vivid dreams, or waking up during the night. Fiber, however, slows down digestion and kind of evens out the absorption of sugar. And this way, there's a steadier release of energy. Another thing with fiber is that it feeds your gut bacteria. And those bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids that actually communicate with your immune system and your brain. But the wrong thing to do is to eat a giant bowl of beans immediately before bed, because those beans can cause you gas and bloating, and it could be a very different kind of a sleepless night. It may not be so comfortable. The goal is to eat fiber throughout the day. Let's say you start with oatmeal in the morning and have some beans and veggies at lunch, and then veggies and whole grains with your dinner too. Now, your sleep may be influenced by what you ate all day, not only what you eat right before bed. And if you're into fatty fish, such as salmon, sardines, and trout and mackerel, they do contain omega-3 fats and vitamin D. And clinical trials suggest that getting enough omega-3 fats can improve sleep efficiency and perceived sleep quality. Now, long-term studies have also linked higher seafood intake with a lower risk of having poor sleep. Omega-3 fats may affect inflammation, serotonin signaling, and the membranes of your brain cells. Now, getting an adequate amount of vitamin D is also important because it's involved in sleep regulation. But I do want to clarify something important. So vitamin D is really closely connected to daylight biology. And for that reason, many people prefer to take their supplements in the morning or at lunch. Now, vitamin D is fat soluble, so taking it with a meal containing some fat will definitely help improve the absorption. So if your vitamin D is too low, it may be that you're not pairing it with the right foods. And some people, their biggest meal may be dinner, and so they take their vitamin D with dinner. But if you feel more alert when you take vitamin D at night, move it earlier. That's a safe, simple, reasonable thing to do. So when it comes to tryptophan-rich foods, turkey is pretty famous for making people sleepy. But turkey isn't unique. Tofu, soybeans, eggs and fish and seeds and beans and poultry, they all contain tryptophan. Some people actually have tried to use tryptophan supplements to reduce the amount of time that people stay awake at night. However, if you're going to eat your giant turkey dinner right before bedtime, it's unlikely to help. That's because it's a large, heavy, fatty meal, and that can slow your digestion and worsen reflux. A better approach is to eat a moderate amount of protein with a healthy carbohydrate. For example, tofu and vegetables with some whole grain, lentils with barley, or if you like fish, if you eat salmon with sweet potatoes, or some kind of yogurt with berries and oats. And the combination may matter more than the individual food because number one, you're getting polyphenol-rich foods, right? So if you eat berries and grapes and cherries and cocoa and tea and herbs and spices that contain polyphenols, you're just adding to your polyphenol bank to help you reduce inflammation, oxidative stress, improve your gut microbiome, and sleep signaling. Now, if you're a tea drinker, green tea also contains L-theanine, which can promote relaxation. But regular green tea, it can contain caffeine. And if you're caffeine sensitive, then your body may be, processing it more slowly than you think. So you don't want to be drinking tea at 4 in the afternoon. And you may still have a significant amount of caffeine circulating at bedtime, and that can keep you awake. I know I can't drink caffeine past noon because I process caffeine more slowly. And even though green tea contains L-theanine, it would backfire on me. Berries and grapes, they don't have caffeine. They are a good evening source of polyphenols. And if you do drink tea at night, maybe you want to try caffeine-free herbal tea.
If you point your camera app to this QR code, it'll take you to a link for a free handout that I created just for you.
Now, the last 3 foods are the most interesting with the most direct human evidence. And one was eaten with dinner, one was eaten an hour before bed, and one had increased sleep time by more than an hour in a small study. But there is something about that result that most headlines actually leave out. So the first food is walnuts. Walnuts contain, guess what? Omega-3 fats, healthy fats, as well as magnesium, tryptophan, polyphenols, and a small amount of naturally occurring melatonin, the sleep hormone. So in a randomized crossover study, people who ate about 40 grams of walnuts for dinner for 8 weeks, they actually produced more of a melatonin metabolite and they fell asleep faster. And they reported better overall sleep quality. Now 40 grams is roughly a large handful. And remember, the results appeared after weeks of regular intake. Walnuts don't knock people out in 20 minutes, folks. The second food is kiwi fruit. In a small study, adults with sleeping problems had 2 kiwi fruits an hour before bed for 4 weeks, and they fell asleep 35% faster, and they spent less time awake during the night. They also increased their total sleep time. Now, why might kiwis help? Well, kiwi fruit contains serotonin, as well as folate, fiber, vitamin C, vitamin E, and antioxidants. And it may influence GABA-related pathways, but some of that research is coming from animal studies. The 2 kiwis are light enough that they're unlikely to feel like a heavy meal. They also provide carbohydrate, which may help tryptophan enter the brain. So you may want to try 2 kiwis, maybe an hour or 2 before bed for 2 to 4 weeks. Then track 3 things. How long does it take for you to fall asleep? How many times will you wake up? And how did you feel the next morning? Now, don't judge these experiments after one night. Your sleep changes from day to day because of your daytime stress, exercise, hormones, caffeine, light that you get in the morning or don't get, and a dozen other factors. Look for a pattern. Now, the food with the most surprising results had the most dramatic change in sleep, and that's tart cherry juice. Now, tart cherries, guess what they have? They naturally contain melatonin and polyphenols, and they may help preserve tryptophan and influence inflammatory pathways. And in one small randomized trial involving adults with insomnia, participants who drank 8 ounces of tart cherry juice twice a day actually increased their total sleep time by 84 minutes. Can you believe that? That is a remarkable result. Now, remember, they drank the juice twice a day. And of course, some people, improve less and some people improve more. Tart cherry juice contains natural sugar calories. Some tart cherry juice may contain added sugar, so make sure you read the label. Choose an unsweetened product and pay attention to the serving size. And remember that Tart cherry juice concentrate, usually you have to dilute that. Now, if you have diabetes, blood sugar swings, or you are trying to lose weight, drinking large amount of juice may not be the best strategy. And you may want to try whole Tart cherries. However, here are some mistakes that can cancel nearly every benefit we just discussed, including all the fruit and the cherry juice and the kiwi and the magnesium supplements. And number one is, if you're going to lie in bed scrolling on your phone all night, you're going to get stimulated. Food cannot overpower the body or the brain that is still receiving input, excitatory input. And another thing is bright light. Bright light can delay melatonin release. So at night, you want to turn off your bright lights, right? Caffeine can remain in your body for hours, remember, so don't drink that past noon. And alcohol can make you feel sleepy, but it fragments sleeps later at night. It can also worsen snoring and sleep apnea. And if you think you have that, you got to correct it. Now, if you're eating large meals at night, it can cause reflux and raise your body temperature. And if you can't sleep, don't check your clock all night long. It will increase your anxiety and make it harder to fall back asleep. Now, your brain will add all these things together. So here's how to build a sleep-supporting dinner, which doesn't need to be complicated. Begin with high fiber, carbohydrate, beans, lentils, oats, barley, whole grains, or quinoa, sweet potato. You eat that last. You eat your vegetables first and eat some protein like your tofu, a form of beans, nuts and seeds, or avocado. And try to finish your dinner 2 to 3 hours before bed. If you are truly hungry later, choose a healthy small snack that can promote sleepiness, like kiwis, bananas, tart cherries. You can even eat some walnuts or berries and pumpkin seeds. If you want to drink milk, choose an unsweetened soy milk, and you can eat a small piece of fruit. Now, you don't have to eat all these foods in one night. You can choose some of these, test it, and watch what happens. Food definitely will support your sleep, but not every food can fix chronic sleep disorders, especially if you snore loudly, you wake up choking or stop breathing during your sleep. That's a condition called sleep apnea. If your legs feel uncomfortable, you have to move them all night long. You may have restless leg syndrome. And if you're having hot flashes waking you up, hormones may be a part of that problem. Or maybe you have pain, anxiety, depression, reflux, medication side effects, frequent urination. Those all disrupt your sleep. And food won't fix those things. The real cause needs to be addressed. So that's why you need to see your own personal medical provider to get those problems addressed. Now, let's say those problems are addressed, and you're no longer getting up to pee at night, and you're not snoring because you have your sleep apnea mask, and yet you're still having insomnia for months. Well, cognitive behavioral therapy is actually one of the strongest treatments for insomnia. However, I realize that you probably want to try something on your own at home, and you're wondering if your magnesium supplement actually works, or it's going to cause you diarrhea. Well, if you want to learn more about that, watch the next video.